He also hears him say that McGonagall is filling in the position for now, and as Snape enters the room, passing the chair that Hermione's not in, he makes no fucking mention of the missing student. Malfoy is like, hey, Snape, why don't you apply to be the fucking headmaster here? And Snape gets a coy little smile, and he's like, oh, well, I mean, I would. He doesn't say that, but that's what that smile says. Oh, I would.
Yeah.
But he goes, no, the governor's only suspended Dumbledore. He's not gone. He hasn't been fired. He's just not here right now. He'll be back. And I kind of took that to mean I'm not going to challenge Dumbledore. But also, maybe it was a little bit of a correction towards Malfoy, because he was being like, my dad got him fired, and Snape came in for the first time in 2 books and kind of went, no, you're not right. Chill the fuck out, Malfoy.
Yeah, despite whatever Snape is, he respects Dumbledore, and he fully believes that the school's better with Dumbledore there, obviously.
Yeah, he does have Dumbledore's back.
Malfoy does make a comment saying, I bet you 5 galleons the next one dies, and he pities the fact that it's not going to be Granger, because she's already, petrified.
And he says all of this shit out loud in class.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
in front of a teacher.
Yeah. What in the fuck? Even if you do have a Slytherin thing going on, if I was Snape and, well, we can't do this anymore, but wouldn't you slap the shit out of that kid?
I mean, yeah.
I'm sure instant fired if he were to strike a child, but at the same time, you don't fucking wish death on anybody, asshole. What's the matter with you?
Especially somebody who's laying in essentially a coma in a hospital bed. It's like super duper tacky to be like, oh, it sucks that they're not gonna die,
Right. As soon as Malfoy says this, Ron jumps up because he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill him. And the bell happens to ring at exactly the same time. So like everybody's grabbing their bag and, getting their papers in order. I'm sure putting their cauldrons and shit away. And in that shuffle, Ron's attempt to kick the shit out of Malfoy kind of goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
By everybody. I loved what Ron says, because they restrain him. They grab his arms, right? So he can't get to his wand. And he's like, fuck it. Let me at him. I don't even care. I don't need my wand. I'm going to kill him with my bare hands. Yeah.
That's why we love Ron.
Get him.
He's like, fuck that guy.
Well, Harry's pissed about it too, right? Ron is passionately pissed about it.
Yeah.
And while you should be passionately pissed that your friend was attacked, and you should want to find the fucker that did that to her, but Ron, he's at 11 right now. And that would imply that he's got a little shine for Hermione. Mm-hmm. And I know it hasn't said anything of the sort yet in these books, but I think that's what's going on. Just like he did not like her more than Harry didn't care for her in the first book. Ron has taken a 180.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a common theme throughout this whole book so far. Anytime that somebody says something, I mean, mainly Malfoy, against Hermione, Ron is taking it personally and is like, no, fuck you.
Right, and goes right to fists, too.
Yeah, same thing with Mudblood earlier. And it might be due to his, connection to the magical world. He knows more about how shitty it is to do these things. Or it could be that he has a little crush. Either way, though, Harry definitely is not as emotionally invested in the whole Hermione situation. Whether it's friends or crush or whatever, he's the one restraining. He's like, Malfoy, that really sucks that you said that. But he wasn't even going to say anything to him. He was just going to sit there and be like, it's kind of shitty.
He was going to let it go. What the fuck, Harry?
Yeah. That's why we like Ron, man.
Ron's ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I would really enjoy having a beer with Ron. Not 12-year-old Ron, but Ron later.
Ron today. 'Cause
Ron today.
Today he would be like 30-some, I think, right? He was 37 in 2017.
Yeah. He's fucking 40.
So yeah, he'd probably really enjoy you buying him a beer.
Yeah.
Probably needs one. But speaking of beer, were you trying to lead to the beer break?
Maybe.
Because I need another one.
All right. Well, tonight we are drinking Barista Cold Brew Coffee Lager from Wolverine State Brewing Company. Now, we've never had this beer before, and it caught my attention because I do like coffee stouts. And this one on the side of the bottle says coffee or beer. The better question is, why choose? As brewers, we wanted to combine what we start the day with, coffee, and end the day with, beer, into one mystical concoction. Although, and this is not off the bottle, I have had some interesting days when those two are flipped around, and they're not bad. Barista Cold Brew Coffee Lager with bountiful roastiness, toasted malt, and hints of cocoa boldly illustrates what a harmonious pair coffee and beer can be. Proudly brewed in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Wolverine beer.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, the art on the front of the bottle is pretty interesting. It looks like you got a dude with a blue collar type button down shirt and an apron, but instead of a dude, it's a Wolverine, and it's got the coffee beans on there too.
I think he might be a barista. He's pouring some stuff.
Is he? Oh yeah, it's kind of small, but you can see it. Well, that makes sense.
Well, what do you think of it?
I like it. I'm almost getting a little hint of sourness from it. I don't know if that was intended or if maybe that's just the coffee itself.
Yeah, it's got something.
A little something extra. There's definitely a strong coffee flavor afterwards. But when you take that first initial sip, it's almost like there's a sour element to it, and I can't put my finger on it. It is 6.5% alcohol by volume, but it's only 13 IBUs.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that it's a lager, because a lot of the coffee beers we have tend to be like stouts or porters.
Yeah, darker, heavier beers. If you guys find this by you, go ahead, pick some up, and let us know what you think of it. We're curious to know. It's complex, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back right after this.
So after potions, they have herbology with the Hufflepuffs. And Snape has to bring them over there, like you were talking about earlier.
Right, have to have an escort.
But they have a little moment with Ernie of Hufflepuff, at least Harry does, where he apologizes for thinking that he was the heir of Slytherin, because Harry wouldn't do that to Hermione. So they shake hands, and Harry lets it go real fast.
So Ernie and his friend Hannah, who've now decided to work at the same station as Harry and Ron, makes it known that he thinks Malfoy is the heir. And when he asks Harry if he thinks the same thing, Harry's like, no, super forcefully, and it makes Ernie and Hannah both stare at him like, what the fuck, guy? And you'd think maybe Harry would be a little more tactful, considering everything that's going around right now, and considering that a lot of people figured he was the heir of Slytherin and think that he probably has information about this.
And also, maybe just be like, hey, Ernie, don't accuse other people, because, like, you saw how the whole school went against me when you did that.
Yeah, there's consequences to that shit.
But during class, Harry notices a bunch of spiders walking in a straight line and smacks Ron with his shears, which dangerous.
Yeah, I read that too, and I was like, what? He stabs Ron to get his attention? That's kind of a dick thing to do. But no, he smacks him with shears, and I mean, what part? Either you're holding the handle, and then you're smacking somebody with the sharp tip, or you flipped it around in your hand, and you're smacking somebody with the rubber handle, which then would hurt your hand. So, like, what? Why? Why wouldn't he just be like, hey...
Or use his hand.
Because you're a foot away from me and we're working on the same thing together.
Yeah, or use his hand. I imagine he used the flat of the blade but that's still pretty dangerous because what if Ron, turned, you know?
Right, just simple common sense.
Once he gets his attention, Ron reminds Harry they can't exactly go anywhere right now, plus, the Huffs are listening.
Right, there's Ernie and Hannah, and they're hanging out, and they're curious as to what the fuck they're talking about, because Ron does say out loud, well, it's not like we can follow him right now anyways.
Yeah, weirdos.
If you were Ernie or Hannah, wouldn't you be like, what are you talking about?
Why do you need to follow anybody anywhere?
Yeah. The other thing that's weird is the spiders are walking in a straight line together.
Well, usually the only time you see a whole bunch of spiders together is when they're when they're the babies and they're coming out of something very fast and you're panicking.
Like the Flood in Halo.
Oh, ew, why?
Because that's what it's like, Jade. It's fucking awful.
I hate those levels. You carried me through every one of those.
You gotta kill a lot of aliens.
No, I would just panic and die. That would be what
you
would
just
happen.
hold the trigger. Spray and pray, baby. Spray and pray.
Harry figures that the spiders are headed towards the Forbidden Forest, so we'll get him later. And Ron's not exactly thrilled.
Yeah, he doesn't like spiders, and he damn sure doesn't want to go into the forest. He's like, yeah, sure, we'll go get him later. Fuck.
Herbology ends, and they all have to go to the DADA class.
Defense Against the Dark Arts. I remember the first time I saw that. I was like, what the hell is Dada class? What are they doing?
They're learning how to be dads.
That's weird. And no. On the way there, Harry and Ron hang back so they can talk because, Ernie and Hannah, fuck off. You're not going to overhear this. And they decide that they need to use the invisibility cloak. They're going to sneak out. They're going to take Fang with them because, he's been in the woods a lot and it's a big, scary fucking dog. And why wouldn't you want Fang with you? Especially because he's friendly.
Plus, we got to let him out to go potty anyways.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's been a minute. Ron, having never been in the forest, he goes, are there werewolves in there? And instead of answering fucking honestly, Harry just says, well, there's good things in there too. The centaurs are pretty cool, even if they're weird. They're just kind of obsessed with Mars. And there's fucking unicorns. So, that's a thing, right?
Those are cool.
Yeah.
I always forget that Ron hasn't been in the forest before this because the movies fuck everyone's brains up.
Yeah, in the movie, instead of Neville, Ron is with Harry, right?
Yeah.
And Hermione for their punishment.
Yeah. So I always think that he's been in there, and I'm always like, why are you so unfamiliar? But no, he was totally in the hospital wing. Him and Hermione switch places.
Yeah, they do. So they make it to Defense Against the Dark Arts class, and Gilderoy bursts in the room. He seems to be the only cheerful teacher in the whole fucking castle, and he asks everybody, why the long face? After all, the culprit has already been caught. So y'all need to just chill the fuck out. Apparently, his Valentine's Day scheme did not go over great.
No.
Because we hear nothing about it afterwards.
No.
Not even a little bit.
Didn't cheer anybody up. He wasn't boasting about it. Probably not going to do that again.
Pretty much like the first school dance that every school has to suffer through. Like, okay, we're going to have a dance, and all the guys are on one end of the gym, and all the girls are on the other, and nobody's dancing because they're like, oh, I ain't going over there. Fuck that. They still have cooties and shit. Then one kid figures it out and is like, wait a minute. But then Dean Thomas, my dude, he's like, yeah, who fucking says? He obviously does not have any trust that Gilderoy is any sort of authority.
Yeah, that he knows what he's talking about.
Right. And Gildy goes, well, I don't think the Minister of Magic would have just taken Hagrid away unless he was 100% sure that he was guilty. And Ron goes, yeah, he fucking would. Because he knows.
Yeah.
Ron's 100% right.
And if it was any other teacher, he'd probably get his nose smacked with some newspaper for doing that, but it's Gildy and he's dumb, so.
Well, and the other thing is, Gildy wants to prove to Ron, or if not prove it, he wants to make it seem to Ron, not even to Ron, to the rest of the class, that he